Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. I'd like to extend my gratitude in you listening to this podcast. It means everything to me, and I hope it is clear that this subject matter is so important to me. I care about our people, our future, and making a positive change in this nation.
Yo guys, this is Olufemi from the Sample Lounge and you're listening to the Woke by Accident podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. Welcome. I'm your host, Jen. We are back with another audio episode for you. We did have a few weeks without an episode, so apologies for that. Definitely have a lot going on and definitely want to make the podcast a priority and commit to producing a podcast at least every other week. I know originally the goal was to produce a weekly podcast, but where we are now with what we have going on, every other week is more of a doable feat. So that is what we will commit to. So again, thank you for being here. And we have a few stories that I do want to provide you some information concerning. This first story is about Kim Potter, who was the Minneapolis former police officer responsible for the death of Dante Wright. We may remember this story we covered. Now, Kim Potter was the white former police officer convicted of manslaughter after mistaking her handgun for a taser and fatally shooting the black motorist Dante Wright in the suburban section of Minneapolis in 2021. She was recently released. So that is the latest. She served 16 months of her 2-year sentence. The next story that I want to bring to your attention is about a Kansas City teenager who was shot by an 84-year-old man. Now, prosecutors have charged the 84-year-old white Kansas City man with 2 felonies behind the incidents where a black teenager was wounded after walking up to the wrong house when going to pick up his 2 younger brothers. Andrew Lester was charged with first-degree assault, which could bring a sentence of life in prison and armed criminal action for shooting the 16-year-old Ralph Yarl. Ralph Yarl appeared on the doorstep of the suburban home at 10 p.m. on the incident, and Lester fired 2 shots through a glass door from a .32 caliber revolver, and Yarl was struck in the head and the arm. The Clay County prosecutor, Zachary Thomas, indicated that no words were exchanged. So it looks like it was a situation where Lester just simply, saw someone appearing on his porch and just started firing without any words exchanging in this particular matter. The teen is recovering from the incident. In addition to facing life in prison, should he be found guilty of the assault charge, Lester could be sentenced up to 15 years for criminal action. Hate crimes were not filed. The state of Missouri has a stand your ground law that allows homeowners to use physical force to defend themselves against suspected intruders. Now, this law says that a person cannot use deadly force unless they reasonably believe it is necessary to protect themselves against death or serious physical injury or a possible felony. So we'll be interested to see if when this matter goes to court, if the Castle Doctrine, stand your ground law will be held in Lester's favor. He has to demonstrate that he reasonably felt his life was in danger. Someone knocking on the door, it appears to be not reasonable. But when they get to court, he could convince the jury otherwise. So we'll see how that goes. It definitely seems like there may have been a racial bias in this matter. The last story that I want to bring to your attention is about Rasheem Carter. Is a black man who went missing in early October. His remains were found less than a month later on a private property in a wooded area. Now, this story comes to you from Mississippi. Carter's remains, as I mentioned, were found less than a month later on a private property in a wooded area in Taylorsville. His mother claims he was being chased by white men threatening to harm him and using racial slurs. Initially, the sheriff told the family there was no foul play. However, Rasheem Carter's unusual disappearance and death left his family searching for answers. The civil rights attorney, Benjamin Crump, joined the family to aid them in seeking justice. And he is urgently seeking a federal investigation into the killing of Rasheem Carter. An independent autopsy revealed that his death was not due to natural causes. One of the shocking details in this matter. Before we share this detail, I do want to extend a trigger warning for the graphic nature of these details. When Rasheem Carter was found, his head was severed, and the family was recently notified that a third set of remains had been located. The Mississippi Crime Lab notified the family that remains found on February 23rd matched up to Rasheem Carter's DNA, according to a statement released by attorney Ben Crump. And Benjamin Crump stated that it's unacceptable that the family had to find out through an email that additional remains had been found, and they still have not been told other information concerning receiving his remains. And the family is seeking the additional remains so that they can officially lay him to rest. Now, Rasheem Carter, who was 25, went missing last October, just days after telling his mother and the police that white men in his community were targeting him. And it's documented that Carter had visited the Taylorsville Police Department on 2 separate occasions leading up to his disappearance, filing concerning these complaints. And then the chief of the Laurel Police Department, which filed the initial missing persons case after the family came to them for help. So in addition to Carter's head being severed, his spinal cord was recovered in a separate area from his head. Wow. This is really shocking, really shocking. The medical examiner ruled that the cause and manner of the death were undetermined. Initially, when the first of Rasheem's remains were discovered, they stated that an animal had been responsible for killing Rasheem. Then later, officials admitted that they believe it was an actual murder. So it definitely, seems like the family is getting different information from authorities, and a federal investigation and a different investigation is needed to get to the bottom of this matter. We definitely wish the best for them and hate to hear this. Sort of reminds us of the Ronald Green situation. We talked about this on a recent episode. Ronald Green out of Louisiana was brutally beaten by the Louisiana State Police following a high-speed police chase. And afterwards, his family was given the story that his death was, a traffic accident, that he ran into a tree, when actually he died as a result of these brutal injuries, which, there's a lot of documentation and demonstration of his injuries. And so, finally, after pressing to get the truth and investigation, the truth, is coming out, and police officers were indicted in that case. So hopefully the same can happen here with a proper investigation. So definitely hate to hear those details. We apologize for the graphic nature of those details. And again, we appreciate you listening. Thank you, and take care. At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out. And also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms. And please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening, and take care.